Hi guys! So we left off on chapter 8 when he had his dogs treat a raccoon in the biggest tree, and he was trying to cut it down and he was having trouble and was trying. He'd been doing it for like a day and went through the night. So we're on chapter 9 now. By late evening, the happy tune I'd been whistling was forgotten. My back throbbed like a stone bruise. The muscles in my legs and arms started quivering and jerking. I couldn't gulp enough air to cool the burning heat in my lungs. My strength was gone. I could go no further. I sat down and called my dogs to me, and with tears in my eyes, I told them that I just couldn't cut the big tree down. I was trying hard to make them understand when I heard someone coming. It was Grandpa in his buggy. I'm sure no one in the world can understand a young boy like his grandfather can. He drove up with a twinkle in his eyes and a smile on his whiskery old face. "Hello, how are you getting along?" he boomed. "Not so good, Grandpa," I said. "I don't think I can cut it down. It's just too big. I guess I'll have to give it up." "Give up?" Grandpa barked. "No, I don't want to hear you say that. No, sir, that's the thing I want to hear. Don't ever start anything that you can't finish." "I don't want to give up, Grandpa," I said, "but it's just too big and my strength's gone. I'm giving out." "Of course you are," he said. "You've been going at it wrong. To do work like that, a fella needs plenty of rest and food in his stomach." "How am I going to get that, Grandpa?" I asked. "I can't leave the tree. If I do, the coon'll go away." "No, he won't," Grandpa said. "That's what I came down here for. I'll show you how to keep that coon in the tree." He walked around the big sycamore looking up. He whistled and said, "Boy, this is a big one, all right." "Yes, it is, Grandpa," I said. "It's the biggest one in the river bottoms." Grandpa started chuckling. "That's all right," he said. "The bigger they are, the harder they fall." "How are you going to make that coon stay in the tree, Grandpa?" I asked. With a proud look on his face, he said, "That's another one of my coon hunting tricks. Learned it when I was a boy. We'll keep him there all right. Oh, I don't mean we can keep him there for always, but he'll stay for 4 or 5 days. That is, until he gets so hungry that he just has to come down." "I don't need that much time," I said. "I'm pretty sure I can have it down by tomorrow night." Grandpa looked at that cut. "I don't know," he said. "Even though it is halfway down, you must remember you've been cutting on it half of one night and one day. You might make it, but it's going to take a lot of chopping." "If I can get a good night's sleep," I said, "and a couple of meals under my belt, I can do a lot of chopping." Grandpa laughed. "Speaking of meals," he said, "your ma is having chicken and dumplings for supper. Now we don't want to miss that, so let's get busy." "What do you want me to do, Grandpa?" I asked. "Well, let's see," he said. "First thing we'll need is some sticks about 5 feet long. Take your axe, go over in that canebrake, and get us 6 of them." I hurried to do what Grandpa wanted, all the time wondering what in the world he was going to do. How could he keep that coon in the tree? When I came back, he was taking some old clothes from the buggy. "Take this stocking cap," he said. "Fill it about half full of grass and leaves." While I was doing this, Grandpa walked over and started looking up in the tree. "You're pretty sure he's in that hollow limb, are ya?" he asked. "He's there all right, Grandpa," I said. "There's no other place he could be. I've looked all over it, and there's no other hollow anywhere." "Well, in that case," Grandpa said, "we better put our man along about here." "What man, Grandpa?" I asked in surprise. "The one we're going to make," he said. "To us, it'll be a scarecrow, but to that coon, it'll be a man." Knowing too well how smart coons were, right away I began to lose confidence. "I don't see how anything like that can keep a coon in a tree," I said. "It'll keep him there all right," Grandpa said. "Like I told you before, they're curious little devils. He'll poke his head out of that hole, see this man standing here, and he won't dare come down. It'll take him 4 or 5 days to figure out that it isn't a real honest-to-goodness man. By that time, it'll be too late. You'll have his hide tacked on the smokehouse wall." The more I thought about it, the more I believed it. And then there was that serious look on Grandpa's face. That was all it took, and I was firmly convinced. I started laughing. The more I thought about it, the funnier it got. Great big laughing tears rolled down my cheeks. "What's so funny?" Grandpa asked. "Don't you believe it'll work?" "Sure it'll work, Grandpa," I said. "I know it will. I was just thinking those coons aren't half as smart as they think they are they?" We both had a good laugh at this. With the sticks and some baling wire, Grandpa made a frame that looked almost like a gingerbread man. On this he put an old pair of pants and a red sweater. He stuffed the loose, flabby clothes with grass and leaves. He wired the stocking cap head in place and stepped back to inspect his work. "Well, what do you think?" he asked. If it had a face, I said, you could tell it from a real man. Well, we can fix that, Grandpa chuckled. He took a stick and dug some black grease from one of the hubcaps on the buggy. I stood and watched while he applied his artistic touch. In the stocking cap head, he made 2 mean-looking eyes, a crooked nose, and the ugliest mouth that I'd ever seen. Well, what do you think of that, he asked. Looks pretty good, huh? Laughing fit to kill and talking all the same time, I told him that I wouldn't blame the coon if he stayed in the tree until Gabriel blew his horn. He won't stay that long, Grandpa chuckled, but he'll stay long enough for you to cut down that tree. That's all I want, I said. Well, we'd better be going, Grandpa said. It's getting late and we don't want to miss that supper. I was so stiff and sore that he had to help me to get to the bucky seat. I called to my dogs. Little Ann came, but not willingly, and old Dan refused to leave the tree. Come on, boy, I coaxed. Let's go home and get something to eat. We'll come back tomorrow. He bowed his head and he looked the other way. Come on, I scolded. We can't sit here all night. This hurt his feelings. He walked around behind the big sycamore and he hid. Well, I'll be danged, Grandpa said as he jumped down from the buggy. He knows that coon's there and he doesn't want to leave it. You've got a coonhound there, and I mean a good one. He picked old Dan up in his arms and set him in the buggy. All the way home, I had to hold on to his collar to keep him from jumping out and going back to that tree. As our buggy wound its way up through the bottoms, Grandpa started talking. You know, Billy, he said, about this tree chopping of yours, I think it's all right. In fact, I think it would be a good thing if all young boys had to cut down a big tree like that once in their lifetime. It does something for them. It gives them determination and willpower. That's a good thing for a man to have. It goes a long way in his life. The American people have a lot of it. They've proved that all down through history, but they could do with a lot more of it. I couldn't see this determination and willpower that Grandpa was talking about very clearly. All I could see was a big sycamore tree, a lot of chopping, and the hide of ring-tailed coon that I was determined to have. All right, we're going to stop right there. Have a good day, you guys. Miss you. Hope you enjoy it. Bye-bye.